What is up, YouTube? My Cowboys family here, bringing you guys the weekly finale here on our Dallas Cowboys, of course. And as we start wrapping things up, hello and hi, showing our beautiful faces here once again. You're repping the Cowboys, I'm repping the shirt I'm wearing today. So yeah, I'm always repping the Cowboys, of course. So not just joking around, of course. But guys, thank you for hanging with us here. Take a second to hit like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, follow us on all social media at MyCowboysFamily, and of course, hop into Discord. Link for that's in the description box down below.
Over here and down there, yeah, all over the place, guys. So I'm
sorry, I thought you were gonna keep going there for a second, but yeah, have a few more people to show off. Or not show off, shout out. There we go. That's the right word for it. Show off and shout out, right? Of course, thank you very much to the sponsor of the month. Plus, right? 7 weeks in a row. Thank you very much to MyCowboysFamily. Mahalo to you all the way from Hawaii, of course. He's not just the sponsor of the month. Of course, you see right above my head there, he's bossing that stream around. Fully loaded. Loaded.
100 full points. Much love to the man, MyCowboysFamily, who... Tonight is the weekly finale, and of course we crown sometimes new champions, sometimes repeats, three-peats. How about 2-month peats here? It could be that if MyCowboysFamily has a slight lead over Skeptical Fan in first place, if he holds that down, he gets a sponsor of the last 2 months officially to his name. And he's the only other person that's done that in our history. He has 15 in a row in his all-time record here as a sponsor of the weeks. And, you know, right now he'll be at 8. So he's more than halfway to breaking that streak. We'll see what happens. MyCowboysFamily, you know, running the show here on those 3 sides of things. So much love to him as always. Always representing that Navy, blue, silver, and star all the way from Hawaii. So always much love to him. And then we got to talk about the Cash App. And the king of the Cash App, it is none other right there. You see Jason Renfro. You know how he, you know, he drops. Sorry, baby, take a break for a second because boom, there he is. Jason Renfro,
transformed.
The Cash App king. Appreciate him. And he is currently, or I'd say he was currently the leader, because we did have a drop here. And I'll say this last night. We had last night, Saturday, a little weekend break for everybody. But we do have a drop from the man who's always, not him. Let me see it. No, not him either. Sorry, guys. The man who always stays skeptical.
Skeptical fan, much love. Shout out to you. I know he said he'll catch the stream in the AM. Said, have a great night. Take it easy, of course. And thank you, Skeptical.
Now you see Jason Renfro's name up there, but let me fix the Skeptical man over there, Skeptical fan, and I think again, guys, the reason why I'm shouting him out because he did drop $12.45 PayPal, I should say. So it wasn't even Cash App. My fault on that. I don't know what I'm doing here in the PayPal though on our overnight our night off. Much love to him. Yes, Jason Renfro, by the way, is in the lead, I think, in the Cash App. Let me make sure. Yeah, he's the leader in the Cash App. Much love to Jason Renfro. And again, Skeptical fan, he's in second place on the overall board. A little back on MyCowboysFamily on that with that $12 and what was it, 45-cent holler and a Go Cowboys. Always much love to the man staying skeptical. We'll be sporting those shirts here again that he made especially for the channel here on one of our cameras on, all lights, camera action kind of live streams here. So much love to the man staying skeptical, MyCowboysFamily, and of course Jason Renfro is in the lead on the Cash App side. Appreciate everybody on that side of things, baby. How can people be part of this thing? Right now with the YouTube situation, the membership's gone for now, temporarily. The super chats, the ad revenue, all that stuff gone for now. We're not gonna get into that, and you guys already know the reasons. We don't know, it was talked about earlier, but now there's a different way of dropping love or helping out the channel. If you guys do want to drop a little love or help the channel out, there's a 4th way now to do that. We heard some of you guys were talking about this.
Yes, and the family requested it, so we figured it out, came through. But yes, guys, in the meantime, there's only a few ways to show the love and support, right? Through the Cash App, money sign MyCowboysFamily. We now have a brand new Venmo. So at my-Cowboys-Family. Of course, the regular PayPal link there, like you guys, have already done, like Skeptical Fan did. But of course, the Streamlabs link, guys, that lets your comment show up right here on the screen, just like a super chat would. And of course, takes down MyCowboysFamily's stream boss as well.
Well, as Mark has shown, he can move up the board. And he was down to like 60-something points. He's back fully loaded there, 100 points on that stream boss. So much love to everybody. The ways to drop there. It says it here. It says it down below. You see that same picture at the bottom right of your screen. It's also pinned in the chat and is in the description. All 4 ways to drop the love. And if it does drop, let us know. And if it doesn't show up, we don't catch it or whatever, you let us know. We will shout you out, put you on that overall sponsor board. appreciate the love and support on these tough times right now here on YouTube. Never on MCF, man. We always repping that navy blue, silver, and star.
Always.
Talking our Cowboys, which you got a little bit today. It's a shorter stream, should be tonight. We're here to chill with you guys, talk some Cowboy football for a little bit, an hour or so. But first, I want to know who's in the house tonight.
Yes, well,
dropping
first of all,
the knowledge. And
we have to shout out Jason Renfro, who, by the way, I think did drop some love in the Cash App. So you go ahead and check that in a second.
Let me check that. He did drop a $3.
Oh, there you go.
And 39-cent holler.
Much love, Jason.
From Jason Renfro in the Cash App. So again, here, the king of the Cash App, Jason Renfro. Jason. Appreciate you. And let me fix that. There we go. And with the $3.39 holler from Jason Renfro, did he have a comment, or was this a Go Cowboys?
Yeah, classic Go Cowboys.
Looks like it. Yes, it is. So $3.39. Much love, Jason Renfro, as he stays in the lead on the Cash App.
So let me keep rolling with the shout-outs. Thank you, Jason, right? Kicking things off tonight.
Trying to go back-to-back like our 90s Cowboys, right?
So we have Tammy Sotis in the building. Thomas Garrett the Superior. Garrett, of course, thank you. Major Dingus, what's up? Much love. He said, Cooks is like a fast Mike Evans.
And a shorter one, too. A lot shorter than Mike Evans.
He makes up for it, right?
Mike Evans
Randy Stites in the house. Much love to you. Of course, Jason Renfro.
In the house.
The Cash App King, Rolando Rodriguez, all the way from South Texas. What's up, Stephen White? We have Skeptical Fan, always staying skeptical. Have a great night. Mike Aldana, much love. Glad you're able to hop in here, catch the stream. And, of course, Happy Easter, by the way, to everybody. I was going to announce
that in a minute. Happy Easter, everybody.
Sorry, the hop in here reminded me. I was like, that wasn't on purpose.
And I know we had an extra late night one tonight, guys. So, hopefully, if you're watching now.
In the house, much love.
Catching the replay, Snug, always repping it here with us on MCF.
So, no, I think that's everybody here so far. So, baby, I will let you take it away. And like we were just saying here, yes, Happy Easter. Hope everybody had a happy holiday, especially if you have, little egg hunters at home. Because I know that was always
our egg hunters are a little too old for that now. Yeah. they don't go for the Easter egg hunting thing anymore. They're in the teens and they're looking about talking to their friends and playing on the computer. So, anyways, guys, again, Happy Easter and also happy birthday. Actually, I think it was today. His 24th year on this earth, here around the sun, and that's Ceedee Lamb, which we're going to talk about again today a lot, more than usual, for a specific reason I'm going to bring up later on. You can see it in the title. So, happy birthday to Ceedee Lamb. He's 24 years old for number 88 now, and also happy Easter.
It's crazy to remember just how young some of these guys are for a minute.
Very, very young in the beginnings of their careers. And really their lives. Anyways.
Yeah, we still have ways to go there, so I'm excited about that.
Now, a couple days from now, it's the 10th officially here on this side, but 10th, the 11th of April. On April 11th of 2023 right now, in a couple days, is an anniversary. It's kind of a somber anniversary. I'm going to bring it up real quick. It's the anniversary of Texas Stadium. Its demise, so to speak. The anniversary of the 13th year is coming up around the corner now. So on this Tuesday, around 7:07 a.m. Central Time, if you pause, think about the Cowboys' history and Texas Stadium. I was there for the second to last game and their last victory in that stadium against the Giants.
Did it have curtains?
It does not have curtains. But it I guess they did need curtains. It wasn't as curtain needed. I know, but it was a lot of light going through that stadium, but mainly from the top of the roof. It was more normal. I think it was a normal stadium, if I recall correctly. And so I don't think there was any light going through, so there was no need for curtains. But yes, the point is here, guys, former home of the Cowboys was officially imploded at 7:07 a.m. on Central Time, April 11th, 2010. 13 years ago. It had taken years to construct, of course, that old Texas Stadium. Took seconds for the whole, I think 25 seconds for the whole thing to tumble down. Crazy. By that same July of 2010, that site remained. Nothing of the stadium was left on that site. And in the 13 years since, the Texas Department of Transportation has used that site as a staging area. So, again, that's kind of the little history there from Texas Stadium. Again, I was there for that.
So quite an illustrious history there until
the quick demolition. Yeah. Listen, the point is officially opened on October 24th, 1971. Cowboys won the opening game there 44-21 over the Patriots. Cowboys began that season as the defending NFC champions and ended the season in 71 and 72 basically as Super Bowl champions. I think our first Super Bowl ever, and it was against the Dolphins. They're only allowing 3 points on the board. For 24-3 was our victory, I think, against the Dolphins that year, that Super Bowl VI. So then the Cowboys move to Arlington, of course, in our new AT&T Stadium in 2009. So let's look at the numbers. Cotton Bowl was the Cowboys' first Super Bowl, first stadium, 1960 and 1971. And the Cowboys are 80, 71, and 6, a 52% winning percentage there. Texas Stadium, 71 in 2008. It was a 343 wins, 238 losses, basically 59% winning percentage, a little better in those years. And then from 2009 to current, AT&T Stadium, we actually have 127 wins, 99 losses. That's a 56.2% win percentage. Actually, not far behind, right in the middle of both of those stadiums. So you can see we're not at our worst of our history right now at home when it comes to our stadiums. But definitely not as illustrious as Texas Stadium was.
Has seen not better days because we have not seen good days. Well, that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave
playoff wise. Cotton Bowl, we were 3-5 in those years, in those 11 years, 12 years. One NFC championship, and then the Texas Stadium, we were 29-19 in the playoffs with a over 60% win percentage, 7 NFC championships, and 5 Super Bowls in those years. AT&T Stadium 4-6 in the playoffs. 40% win percentage, not very good. In Cotton Bowl, it was a 37.5% win percentage. So right now we're a little better than the inaugural years of our team. So either way, just wanted to kind of give a little quick history of Texas Stadium since we are coming to the 13th, lucky number 13 anniversary of the demolition, unfortunately, of Texas Stadium.
Whatever broken mirror, whatever black cat ladder we walked under, whatever bad luck juju happened then,
let's Johnson hope we're in the godforsaken Ring of Honor and actually solve our problems right now. A guy who's unfortunately having problems, had a problem since he's entered the NFL as a high value draft pick by the Niners, Aldon Smith. We got him on our team a couple of years back, and he did some stuff with us. But then the next year we didn't pick him up. He spent a year, I think, with Seattle. Was it? Either way, today he was officially, or yesterday, over the last couple of days, he was sentenced to 1 year in jail. Now you guys remember what happened after he left the Cowboys? He joined the Seattle Seahawks, and there was an incident that went down shortly after that. Aldon Smith been ordered to spend the next 12 months in jail. Former NFL star, guys, sentenced on Friday inside a Northern California courtroom. He pleaded no contest to a felony DUI charge. Another, again, he's in trouble with drinking his entire life. This came from a 2021 incident in Redwood City. Again, remember, this is right after he left the Cowboys in 2020 and 2021 with Seattle, and before he even played a game, he was already in trouble. TMZ called him the ex-Dallas Cowboy. It's funny. He played like 1 year with. He played the Niners, the Raiders a lot longer than he played with us.
You could just take a tour of AT&T Stadium and it'll be known as an ex-Cowboy.
Exactly. So again, a pass rusher was in custody after the hearing, and he's beginning his year-long sentence immediately. Aldon Smith given 5 years of supervised probation. 33 years old. Aldon Smith. Last year with the Seahawks, 2021, and initially was arrested on December 6, 2021. Authorities claimed that he rear-ended a truck that was stopped at a stop sign on a freeway off-ramp. So that was the big issue there. Of course, Aldon Smith, that's part of the issue. Cops say when they arrived, they investigated the accident. Aldon Smith appeared intoxicated. They claimed he had marijuana in his pocket, empty bottles of rum and vodka in his car. Obviously not.
In an altered state. Let's say.
And Aldon Smith it's not like they're pinning something on him. I mean, the guy has had these run-ins in the past. That's a lot of stuff to pin on somebody. The authorities say that he hit the person that he hit that suffered those injuries had injuries to their back, their knee, their wrist, their leg, foot. Suing is coming. Obviously this leads to the prison time for Aldon Smith.
He genuinely hurt somebody here.
He was charged with 1 felony count of drunk driving causing injury. He cut a deal with prosecutors. On January 19th, to close out the case, he's been facing a sentence of up to 16 months in prison following his plea agreement. He got the 12 out of those 16 that they decided to go a little lenient on him after agreeing to a plea bargain. The sentence now ends any hope that Aldon Smith's going to be making any kind of return or NFL comeback. Next year he'll be 34. When he gets out of prison. 3 full seasons removed since he played a meaningful down in the NFL. Happened to be with our Dallas Cowboys. So good luck to Aldon Smith, but man, it is not a good road for him. This next year is going to be tough. Sucks to hear that situation come up there for Aldon Smith. So, but that's on him. Drunk driving, you kill somebody, and so he needs to pay the consequences on that, right?
Yeah.
Now, Odell Beckham Jr. Let's get right to it, guys. You know, if you guys don't know already, that's really the big news of the day. You can see in the title.
And the last thing that we heard Odell really saying as far as his situation was supposedly throwing a team under the bus for offering him pennies when he feels like he should be getting dollars. Now, of course, everyone and their mom kind of took that statement and took that to imply, well, the Cowboys were out there offering Odell what he felt was like too cheap of a deal. I can't remember the number he even said at the time. So just throwing that out there.
Well, he said $4 million, I think he said, or something like that. He said he's worth more than $4 million. That's what he was saying at the time. Look, all I know is today, Odell Beckham, and anybody talking about Odell coming to Cowboys can now shut up about that, because that ain't happening. Right? Let it go, like in Frozen. So Odell Beckham Jr., guys, today reached an agreement, signed an agreement with the Baltimore Ravens. Everyone's thinking the Jets. Remember, he just finished seeing the Cardinals. He was flying out to New York to visit with the Jets. Oh, I was going to do it, I think Monday he was going to get out there sometime early this upcoming week. Yeah. And he was going to visit with the Jets. And then, talk about the Aaron Rodgers situation. That was going to be the discussion. Yeah. The Ravens were kind of in between in the meetings here, and he decided to go, you know what, I'm going to go with them. The Ravens upped their offer. Let me explain what happened, guys. So, Odell Beckham Jr., or last time I played, a meaningful snap was in the Super Bowl with the Rams, and he tore his ACL there. He got a 1-year deal with the Ravens. Now, you can tell me if you like this deal. He got a 1-year deal that's worth up to $18 million. Now, that's very important. What does that mean? We knew he was going to be stuck with a lot of incentives, but how much? So, $18 million deal. That's if he plays every down, if he meets all the percentage snaps, maybe he hit to get into the playoffs to get some of that full incentive.
Yeah, you have to imagine that includes like a Super Bowl victory after playing every game and being out there 70% of every game at least.
Exactly. So Odell Beckham and the Ravens with this $18 million max out deal, 1 year. We'll get into the contract detail in a minute, but the Jets plan to host Odell Beckham. Literally, I think tonight, actually, it was supposed to happen tonight. Beckham, when he heard Baltimore up the offer, he signed the deal with Baltimore Ravens rather than wasting any time. So, what is the deal? The details on Odell Beckham's deal, because I don't give a crap about anybody else. The only thing I want to compare him to is Brandon Cooks. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Odell Beckham Jr.'s 1-year deal. Here's $18 million is the max, but here it is, guys. He got $13.835 million as the signing bonus, which they can play around with that money. Nonetheless, that's $13.835 million that he is going to get, plus 1.165 base salary, $1.165 million in base salary, and $3 million in reachable incentives. $3 million. So he's making at least guaranteed $15 million. $15 million. The report said he wanted 20. Then they said, well, he never said that. And then the next thing we heard was he lowered his demand to $15 million. And that's what he's getting as far as a base.
Yeah, as far as actually guaranteed, very likely
in a
to
1 year
end up in
deal.
His pocket.
He's getting at least $15 million. And he can make as much as another extra $3 million, which is not really that much of that. I thought he'd get like $6 million or $7 million in incentives on that $18 million deal. No, $3 million in incentives. So you're paying $15 million for 1 year of Odell Beckham Jr. and maybe at maxing out at $3 million on top of that, which is 18 at most. I don't know before I even ask what everybody thinks, guys. The Cowboys, we know, had initial interest on Odell Beckham since last year, since almost in that playoff run. We got T.Y. Hilton instead. And then we, of course, last month made a big move to get Brandon Cooks from the Houston Texans. Brandon Cooks, who's number 3 now for the Cowboys. So Brandon Cooks is our wide receiver who I would place in as our, number 2. Depending on the down, it could be a number 3 in the slot sometimes, depending on the down and the situation. We got Gallup, of course, in there. Ceedee, we're going to talk about him in a minute.
I have to read Mike's comment here in the chat real quick because he's like, Ravens got OBJ, but they can't get Lamar to sign a fucking contract.
It's not that they can't. They don't want to accept his demands for guaranteed, a fully guaranteed deal, and that's the sticking point there. They drew the owners have seen drawn a line in the sand with losing Lamar Jackson as that pinnacle of like what they're going to give up in guaranteed money. They're trying to start a new trend, I think. So it's more about them trying to negotiate something with Lamar Jackson that I don't think that they're going to be able to do it.
I was going to say they can try, but it's still like I still feel like I have a few questions about. Obviously we all know why Odell did it. I mean, no one I don't think was going to give him a deal as favorable as that.
This is to me this is an overpay.
I have to agree, considering that the last time we saw him take a football snap was well over a year and a half ago at this point.
Listen, you look at Odell Beckham, we had interest in him.
About a year and a half ago.
We had interest in Odell. And the Cowboys would try to get him last offseason, almost into at the end of the season in 2022. We were looking at him into this season, and then we got Brandon Cooks. Made a trade for Brandon Cooks. And I told you guys, that pretty much, forget DeAndre Hopkins and forget Odell Beckham Jr. That ended that. And I'm going to still stick with that, even with DeAndre Hopkins still up around there. But, guys, right now, Odell obviously now is going to the Baltimore Ravens with this one-year deal. We got Brandon Cooks on a one-year deal, but you guys remember how much one year left on his contract. I think it's 1 year. Is it 1 or 2 years? I think it's 2 years left. I think it's 2 years left on Brandon Cooks' contract. And that total is... I think it's going to be an average. I think we're paying $8 million, $4 million this year on the cap hit, $8 million next year on the cap hit, probably 10 at most. So you're looking at like 14 to 16 million in the next 2 years. And remember, this year it was 12 million when he first came to us, Brandon Cooks. Yes. But when he came to us at 12 million, the Ravens were actually paying, not the Ravens, but the Texans were actually paying 6 million of that of the total 18. He was 18 million. Basically, Odell Beckham, 18 million. Brandon Cooks, 18 million. All right? This year. Overall total cap hit. But we restructured. Well, first, before we even got to that, with 18 million on Brandon Cooks, that was taken down to 12 million because the Texans paid 6 of the cap hit. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, we restructured it. Got it down to 4 this year. I think it goes up to 6 when you max it all out. And then next year it's 8, goes up to 10. So you understand when we floated this contract with Brandon Cooks is fantastic. With limited cap hits, I think we had avoidable years. We might have, I think, $2 million in the next 2 years after that. Of $2 dead $1 million. Irrelevant. You won't even see that. So my point here is, what's the better deal? Who is the better deal, quote unquote? Is it getting Odell Beckham for 18 million, but 15 is pretty much going to be his, and he can play for that extra 3 million? Or is it Brandon Cooks who kind of, initially was 18, got it down to 12, restructured him to 4, now he's up to, it'll be 6 on the cap as the cap hit. $6 million cap hit on Brandon Cooks this year. $10 million cap hit next year. All right, and that's 2 years. Odell 1 year is $15 million no matter what, 18 max. There's no question for Brandon Cooks in our offensive scheme, the way we're running our offense, what we need in this West Coast 30 to 35% difference, that's the Brandon Cooks difference. It's not the Odell would slow us down, I think, in this kind of offense, especially with the unknowns of his injury past, of his unknowns of, again, he's older already, you know what I'm saying? Like, he hasn't played in a year and a half. I mean, Brandon Cooks, doesn't matter who he's with. He gets the yards, he makes the plays. He's a guy who stretches the defense and takes, can make things happen. In the West Coast style offense. Let's be honest about it. So, again, I'll lay this out for everybody out there. What do you guys think about which is the better worth deal? What deal would you rather have? Would you rather have Odell for 1 year, $15 million for sure? I don't even say guaranteed, but $15 million, some way it's going to be paid to him, and then $3 million he can max out to 18, or the 18 we start with Brandon Cooks got it down to 6 this year. Next year, a second year Brandon Cooks is 10. $16 million in 2 years for Brandon Cooks. Or 1 year and up to 18 million for at least 15, maybe 18. I mean, again, 15 or 16 in 2 years for Brandon Cooks, or 15 for Odell. Even if you do it the very least amount of money for Odell Beckham, it's a no-brainer, guys. We got the better deal. Brandon Cooks is the right guy. The Cowboys handled this. I gotta give the front office credit on this. We didn't jump at the Jerry. This is proof that it was a Jerry Jones-led, clown show, circus. I don't want to, harping too negatively on this front office because they've been doing a decent job this offseason. But who was handling the Odell Beckham situation?
Jerry
and only Jerry. We heard this, multiple sources. Jerry Jones is the guy handling the Odell Beckham talks, and it would be dead. They said that it would be dead if it wasn't for not for Jerry Jones speaking on this and wanting it and pushing for it. And then, a month later, Jerry Jones wasn't pushing for it as much because we got Brandon Cooks. But that's my point. The Cowboys went with the logical correct, smart choice in Brandon Cooks. Money, ability, fit. Yes, he's not young, but he still has some speed left. Which Odell, I don't think he has.
Odell's not exactly a spring chicken either.
He's not the spring. Exactly. He's got injuries on top of that, and he hasn't played in a year and a half. And again, you're paying $1 million more for a second year of Brandon Cooks. On top of that, how does he fit in this offense? Is he is he going to be fast enough in this West Coast offense? Or we want Brandon Cooks, a guy that can do inside and outside, kind of lining up here? I don't think Odell can line up in the slot. So you see, there's a lot of differences there for literally a $1 million difference in an extra year. You get Brandon Cooks. There is a no-brainer. If you say you want Odell, you're just an Odell homer. You just think maybe you're overvaluing Odell over Brandon Cooks. And I don't think Brandon Cooks is spectacular. Like if you look at Odell at his best, it's no comparison. He's much better than Brandon Cooks. But right now, with the unknowns and the question marks of Odell, and then you got Brandon Cooks, who we know can overcome any quarterback on 4 different teams and get 1,000 yards. That's the facts of the matter. It should not change with now is 15, I guess, with the 14 with the Cowboys, 15 with the Cowboys.
So
I don't know. What do you think, baby? What does the chat think about this Odell Beckham situation versus Brandon Cooks? And I'm going to say one last thing about Brandon Cooks. In the last 2 years for Brandon Cooks, 218 targets. We're talking about some shitty-ass quarterbacks in Houston. The last 2 years, 218 targets. And out of those targets, baby, I know we don't know about the catches, but out of those 218 targets, he had 146 receptions. Fantastic. And only 10 drops in 2 years. Average of 5 a year, but he's getting some passes thrown to him, some shitty quarterbacks. And now he's got Dak Prescott. A lot better than the guys he had thrown to him in Houston. That's a guarantee. So, again, I'm going to throw this to you and in the chat on what you think about this Odell Beckham move. And I'm talking for the Ravens, I don't care about the Ravens. More about the move, the contract, the money, compared to our Cowboy, our receiver that we picked up this offseason in a trade, giving away a 5th rounder, Brandon Cooks, a 5th and a 6th, I guess. So, again, any thoughts?
All right, so now I'm allowed to say something. Well, yeah, it's not that. I didn't want to interrupt you earlier, and then every time you'd say, "Oh, well, one more thing," and I didn't want to interrupt you.
I'm so
trying to let you get it out there. You kind of touched on a few of my points, though, so I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet. But realistically speaking, Odell is not someone that I personally think is worth that amount of money, but I know that they're not necessarily paying for Odell the player, although they are. It's about Odell the offensive threat and playmaker. So, to me, on paper, no matter what, Odell will always be, I think, a bigger threat than Brandon Cooks. So, on one hand, I understand
playmaker
not just that, but I think that teams will take Odell more seriously, not in a bad way, just in a. It's kind of like having Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady or whoever out there. It's like there is a certain expectation of greatness that you just kind of have in your head, regardless of however they might have played recently, right? His reputation is that Odell is that guy who makes those plays, who is that playmaker. That's the reason that the Ravens even dropped that kind of change on him. Mm-hmm. But like you said, Brandon Cooks, yeah, he might not be as flashy, but he's much more consistent, much more healthy, much cheaper, much more productive. I mean, I can keep going, but like I said, you touched on most of those points. The chat also agrees. I'm seeing pretty much every single person here. Tammy, Chris, Mike, Thomas. Let me see. All of you guys saying it. Cooks is the better deal out of those two guys, 110%.
No doubt.
And by the way, rolling back, because I did see Drums of Cowboys and Mike Aldana both point out, the Ravens are trying to almost entice Lamar Jackson to sign, hey, look at this piece we just got you. Look at this toy you have to play with now. So, and the comment that made me laugh earlier was a Beast Mode said, OBJ's walking out of Baltimore with the ski mask on. Because he's robbing them blind. So, and I do have to agree with the sentiment of that. But, again, Odell does have some hardware and some numbers and some things to back up why he feels like he should be paid that amount. Now, you guys are kind of also touching on it a little bit here. Who was it? Mr. Kima saying OBJ refused to meet with the Cowboy doctors. If I'm not mistaken, I think that they did meet.
Eventually.
When Odell came down for his visit and stuff like that. But honestly, a lot of the talks and details back then were very
season,
we brought him in for that little visit and he did But
this was before the postseason?
No, it was in the middle of the season. That's what I'm saying.
In the middle of the offseason.
Yeah. No, now. During the past season, during the regular season,
I know, but that's what I'm trying to say.
We brought him in.
He didn't see the doctors then. That's where he refused the doctors. He did refuse the doctors in that one, to see the doctors in that meeting. Yes.
Okay, I could have sworn. I could have sworn that they did actually meet, but that things were like they basically just said that he wasn't ready yet.
No. They didn't meet. He didn't want to do certain things in that meeting.
Well, now we know why, because he wasn't going to be ready for the regular season, and then a few weeks later, obviously,
that's why I was confused, because he did a workout and a lot of teams showed up. We did not. Cowboys did not show up for that. And then we got Brandon Cooks. Well, again, like I said, it seems like the interest was gone. And, whether we were or weren't the team that offered him peanuts, which honestly, I generally do think we were, considering we were really the only team that actively made an effort as much as we did to try and bring him in during that time. But anyway, things worked out, I think, the way that they had to work out. Ashley Simmons also throwing out there. I was listening. I agree. Cooks is a better deal. The Ravens are just desperate. And you know what? More luck to them. Good for you, OBJ. But yes, I don't want a 30-plus-year-old, no way,
consistently injured guy on our team. I wasn't a fan of the deal back when we were first talking about it, and I said the only way for me that I would be okay or happy with Odell coming to the team is if we got him for as cheap as the Cowboys were basically trying to offer him.
I mean, we got Brandon Cooks hits.
I don't think it would have made
Brandon
sense.
Cooks hits for $6 million on the cap this year and $10 million next year. Odell hits 15 at the very least this year. There's no way. If we had gotten Odell Beckham $15 million, I would not have been happy. I'm sure there's a lot of people who have been jumping for joy.
Bookmark this. Yeah. Let's come back to this, the end of February, let's say, when all the stats are out there, no one can say anything, right? And look at the numbers that Cooks and Odell put up, just to even come close to comparing.
But here's the thing. I wouldn't even compare them. I think Cooks is going to be better, and he's going to have less play time. Here's the reason why. Odell Beckham is going to have to be
the number one?
No, but doing more. They got a couple guys there. I don't know if they left or not, Baltimore.
They're also paying him to do a lot more.
That's my point. That's the key. So he's going to have to carry a lot of this load on this receiving core. What is Brandon Cooks carrying here? I mean, we got Tony Pollard, West Coast offense, Tony Pollard in the backfield, Dak is your quarterback, you got Ceedee Lamb. We got Michael Gallup. And then you throw Brandon Cooks in the mix. You're going to throw him into the stew here? You're going to cook some stuff here with Brandon Cooks?
Let's bring up some numbers. Drums and Cowboys saying MCF. Cooks actually has 1K yards, 1K yard seasons.
With 4 different teams.
More 1K yard seasons than OBJ.
Yep, and he has it with 4 different teams. 4 different teams. That was with his 5th team. If he gets 1,000 yards with us, that'd be a record. He's right now tied for the most to ever do that. And that was I'm talking about, this is 2 years ago with the Texans. He did this with no Deshaun Watson. Last year, he got 800. Didn't he have 800-something yards last year? Minimal. He was injured a little bit, and he's not very often injured, but he still was able to get 800-something yards and on minimal support on that offense in Houston. So, I mean, that's Lee Side Harold. He'll tell you how much they suck. So, in the end, I mean, I think when you have him, not as where was he in Houston? Do you know where he was? Was he there number 3 or the number 2? He was the number 1.
He was the number 1.
And he still kind of had to carry that. In Dallas, he's the number 3, number 2 with plenty. Tony Pollard scaring some people back there as a receiving threat as well. Don't forget Ferguson. You got so many weapons. Cooks has just got to show up.
It gives me similar vibes as when we had Amari Cooper, Gallup, and Ceedee Lamb, only in the sense that, remember, Ceedee Lamb was a number 1 draft pick, basically as our 3rd receiver. And that packed a punch. Cooks gave me similar vibes in that he played a number 1 receiver role, but now he's not having to do that. He's more like a 2 or 3, depending on however you want to call
Cooks
it.
Can play.
And he's going to have, I think, a similar impact in that way, except he's going to bring something even Ceedee Lamb didn't bring to the table. He's going to bring experience. He's going to bring knowledge. He's going to bring, the already proven numbers that he already has done. Ceedee Lamb was coming into that as a rookie.
Yeah, and
so
again,
I'm just saying, we're in an even better position, I think, in that sense.
And think about it like this too. I mean, I think of it in a little bit in the same way as when we had, I guess you could say Amari. Was it Amari? It was Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, and then we had Randall Cobb in the mix.
That's
to me, I think Brandon Cooks is a better version of Randall Cobb right now in their points of their career when they put this star on their helmet. And I think Brandon Cooks would actually, as our number 3 kind of, he plays on the outside 75% of his career.
Yeah.
So he's not a slot guy, but he can play. He's played slot. That's easy for him to do as well. So it's the way McCarthy schemes this with the 35% difference, West Coast flavor, West Coast offense flavor. We're going to talk about that in a minute because that kind of leads me to CeeDee Lamb. But before I get there, and I'm going to get into the CeeDee Lamb and Mike McCarthy's West Coast offense. How is that going to look? How is that going to feel? You know, Brandon Cooks as our number 2-3 and Gallup as our 2-3. Whoever is 2-3, we don't know. These guys are the next two on the list behind number 1 receiver CeeDee Lamb. But first, baby, let's remind everybody tonight's the wrap up. We got Jason Renfro in 3rd place overall. And he's right now trying to go back-to-back as the Cash App King.
That's right.
He's leading it right now. We got Marco Sepien all across the board here. 7 weeks in a row, going for the 2 months back-to-back. And you got 100 points for him on the Stream Boss. Also first place this week, right above there. So if you can see here, ways to help the channel. And again, you know, we try to make it a little bit of an experience here when you battle for those top spots, whether a Cash App or whether on the overall board. But it's 4 ways to help the channel, and it all goes to your totals here on the leaderboard.
Yes, of course, through the Cash App as Mighty Sound My Cowboys Family. The Venmo now at My-Cowboys-Family.
Brand new Venmo.
So, PayPal link there, just the usual PayPal link there. And, of course, the Streamlabs link gets your message up here on the screen. Takes down Marco Sepien, Stream Boss as well.
Right there, guys. That's the ways to do it. 4 different ways until we get that Super Chat membership situation back here on My Cowboys Family by YouTube. We're in that is in their hands. We'll see if they, reach common sense and logic and say, okay, yeah, you guys are good.
I don't know. Are you sure you're not stealing my face and stealing the words? I don't know.
Hopefully not. So now, as I sway over to how is this going to look now? We talked about Brandon Cooks. We talked about Michael Gallup. We talked about Brandon Cooks in detail here, especially with Odell Beckham, who would have been that 2-3 guy that we got Brandon Cooks for. But now, CeeDee Lamb is our number 1. Proven number 1 in the NFL, receiver type guy, CeeDee Lamb. Look at him. When you look at just some guys that maybe run, I don't want to say West Coast offense, but they're in the West Coast. DK Metcalf. 3,187 all-purpose. We're talking about all-purpose yards. So we're talking about running or catching, whatever. DK Metcalf, 3,187 all-purpose yards. Deebo Samuel, 3,223 all-purpose yards. CeeDee Lamb, 3,959 all-purpose yards. By the way, this is all in the first 3 seasons of these 3 guys' career. I'm just saying, if you take the 3 years, CeeDee Lamb is destroying all of them right now when it comes to all-purpose yardage. Now, I think that also counts punt returns, kick returns, that kind of stuff. Now, 22 touchdowns for CeeDee Lamb in his first 3 years. Deebo has 21 total touchdowns in his first 3 years. Metcalf, 29, a couple more than CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb had 2 fumbles in all-purpose situations, right? 6 fumbles for Deebo Samuel. And DK Metcalf, 5 fumbles. So a lot better.
So CeeDee Lamb actually has pretty secure hands, I guess you could say, right?
Once the ball's in his hands, he's pretty secure about that. 3 years, 2 fumbles. And again, guys, just kind of throwing this in there just to show you the overall kind of weaponry you have when you have CeeDee Lamb in the Cowboy offense. And I want to talk about Mike McCarthy's West Coast-styled offense. Let's go back. 2014. Mike McCarthy coaching the Green Bay Packers. And the Packer offense, Aaron Rodgers and all them, they threw for 4,924 yards and 51 touchdowns that season. Of course, 2014, they beat us in the playoffs. And then they lost on a fluke play to Seattle, right, in the playoffs. And then Seattle went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Patriots in the Super Bowl. But here's the thing, baby. McCarthy, that offense was rolling that year. Almost 5,000 yards of offense and 51 touchdowns. Both are records in Green Bay history. That's an old history. That's over 100 years of history in Green Bay. The top 3 wide receivers in that West Coast-styled McCarthy offense in Green Bay. Jordy Nelson. In 2014, he had 98 catches, 1,519 yards, and 13 touchdowns. West Coast offense. Jordy Nelson, who will be CeeDee Lamb. I know CeeDee Lamb can get these numbers. Randall Cobb. Oh. Wow. Did I just say Brandon Cooks like a Randall Cobb?
Yeah.
Randall Cobb, back then, early in his career, of course, heating up. He's having a good year. 91 catches that year.
There you go.
1,287 yards. Oh, we got Ronald.
Thank you for summing it up, Ronald Camp.
Hello. Ronald Camp, part of the family here. Welcome to the family. And I appreciate another subscriber in the house here on the channel. Appreciate you. Always helps.
I actually did take down a point there from the man Marco Sepien. I forgot that
Mark,
did that. So.
Mark down to a point. He lost a point there. He's down to 99 points. So he'll Chauncey Golston on that screen there. So appreciate joining the family. Appreciate you. Now, as I continue here, just think about this. Randall Cobb as the Packers number 2 under McCarthy in the West Coast. I'm going to say McCarthy West Coast offense. 91 catches, almost 1,300 yards, 1287, and 12 touchdowns. That's behind Jordy Nelson, who's the number 1 receiver. So CeeDee Lamb can put up something close to Jordy Nelson numbers. You think Brandon Cook can put up similar numbers to Randall Cobb? 1,200, 1,300 yards, 12 touchdowns, 91 catch. That's a lot of passing. But you're looking at a lot of run after the catch. So let me finish this with a very young Devontae Adams back then, just entering. He had only 38 catches that year, 446 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So can Michael Gallup put up those numbers? Can he put up 38 receptions, 446, and 3 touchdowns? I'm just saying, that's easy. Gallup should be able to do that.
That should be a baseline.
So I'm just saying, in the West Coast McCarthy flavored offense, you see what kind of offense they had in 2014. One game from this, one silly mistake from them in the Super Bowl, one bad call from us, knocking them out.
Yeah.
But my point is that they had a very strong offense that year, and you can see their 3 receivers, what they put up. We're going to have to do so. I think we'll be doing something similar to that. And the reason you get a lot of catch, not because we're going and throwing the ball deep down the field. It's quick bullet passes and letting the receivers take that for yardage, take that for big gainers, take that and break that for possible touchdowns. Not necessarily bombs every time. You're going to get those sometimes in the West Coast offense, but you're really looking to quick throws and run after the catch. Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb, and just up and coming new Devontae Adams. And he wouldn't get much that year. Just saying, that's a rookie for him that year. These 3 guys, comparable to the Cowboys, there's no reason why the Cowboys can't hang in that group. Our receiving core. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying, guys? In a McCarthy-styled mindset. And again, both these numbers, total offensive yards and touchdowns, record in Green Bay in 100-year history record. And the Cowboys, I'm just saying, we could get something close to that. That's going to be helpful. And how does CeeDee Lamb look in this kind of offense as the number 1? Let me explain, guys. West Coast offense, what does it thrive on? It thrives on on receivers. Let me rephrase that. On wide receivers that are capable of getting yards after the catch. Yak. As I said, yards after catch is major in a West Coast offense. Can you get these receivers that break? We know Brandon Cooks can do that. But how about CeeDee Lamb? When you look at these kind of targets for CeeDee Lamb, these run after the catch type of targets, he has 148 of these kind of targets, 107 receptions, 1,359 receiving yards off of these kind of plays, and 9 receiving touchdowns. Again, it's about a season's worth of West Coast style offense. 148 targets. 148 targets. It's not. It's a lot. Let me just pause for a second. It is a lot, but in a 17-game season, he stays healthy all year. It should be no reason why he possibly get 120, 130 solid targets for CeeDee Lamb in the West Coast style offense. And 107 catches, again, we heard 98 from Jordy Nelson, 91 from Rand. Just saying, could CeeDee Lamb pop up at 107? Sure. So when you look at this, it's almost a year's worth of statistics here.
Yeah.
1,359 receiving yards easily could be what he gets this year. 9 receptions, 9 touchdown catches, probably more than that for CeeDee Lamb if he has these kind of numbers. CeeDee Lamb in this kind of quick throwing West Coast offensive kind of catches and running catches, run after the catch, he has only 5 drops. He's had other drops in his career, CeeDee Lamb, but in this kind of quick passes, he's had 5 drops. Not great in his career, but it's at least not as bad if you look at it over the 3 years. He's had a lot more drops on I would say easier passes. So 5 drops, which is it's not that horrible, 4.5% drop rate, and he averages on these quick run after catch kind of plays 12.7 yards per reception. So if that's viable, yeah. That is very viable. Let me explain, guys. When it comes to yards after the catch, in this kind of these kind of plays, and again in 2022, I think these are his 2022 numbers, 4.6 yards after catch per reception. So after a catch, he's getting almost 5 yards on top of that, which is all right. 497 yards is what he's got total yak in 2022, which, by the way, in his 3 years is a career high. So you can see he's getting better at running after the catch. CeeDee Lamb is getting better. Every year he's getting better. This was his career high of yardage after the catch. And when targeted, 109.6 passer rating by the quarterback when targeting receiver CeeDee Lamb. So you're looking at, if he don't have these drops, which it looks like he had a lot less drops this past year, 5, 9 touchdowns. I think he could possibly pop up more than that in this West Coast offense. He had this 1,359 yards this past year and 107 catches. You tell me if he does that, similar numbers, even 90 in the 90s area, in the McCarthy West Coast offense, you're going to have Brandon Cooks hitting with 70 catches. You're going to have Gallup hitting with 50 catches. You're going to be able to spread the rock. You're going to have Pollard and Ferguson also having a nice array of catches as well. Yeah. So you're going to have a lot of receiving, a lot of passes available for these guys to take that, not down the field, Dak having the precise pinpoint throws and triple coverage. I'm talking about yards after the catch. Quick throw, boom, and take it. We need CeeDee Lamb getting more than 5. We need Brandon Cooks. He gets more than that as well. He's one of the best at yards after the catch. So I'm saying for CeeDee Lamb to take over the number 1 spot right now,
that's like one of his areas that he needs to like continue to trend upward.
Yeah, and he is trending upward. And that's the thing about CeeDee Lamb. And to me, he's ready to be number 1, not just the number 1. We saw that last year, but number 1 in a quicker moving, run after the catch, West Coast style McCarthy offense. Jordy Nelson numbers, Randall Cobb numbers.
Yeah, even with all the great stats that you just brought up about CeeDee Lamb, it still feels like 1, the best is yet to come, and 2, there's still a lot more that he hasn't even begun to show us, right? And let's be honest, those first 2 years, he had such up and down moments. A lot of people were still not 100% sold on CeeDee Lamb. Like, this past season really did a lot for most people who had doubts to say, like, okay, yeah, he's worked out the kinks. He is, like I said, pretty much trending upward positively in every single stat, and he was hanging with the best of them when it came to top receivers pretty much all season. So if that's what we had under a Kellen Moore run offense, then obviously our expectations are even higher when we're considering some of the things that we're expecting McCarthy to do heading into the season.
Agreed.
And, knock on wood, fingers crossed beyond that.
I'm hopeful that we will be, Dak timing. We get the timing down with the run with the West Coast stuff. We will be able to have big plays, quick pass, big plays, and that will produce us big pass plays down the field. Yeah. Now, we heard from you, baby. I got a big shout out here. Right. Jason Ramford with another $3 holler, who right now, I think he's about 13 back on second place. 13 or 14 back on second place behind Skeptical Fan. Jason Ramford, though, he is first place currently on the Cash App side. He just dropped, let me do this, and then that, he just dropped another $1 holler in the Cash App. So much love to him.
Much love, Jason.
He said, by the way, both of these were Go Cowboys. As always, much love, Mr. JR here, and he's coming in for that crown in the Cash App, back-to-back like our 90s Cowboys. Appreciate you, Jason Renfro, as always, in here. And again, getting, a little bit closer. I think he's about 12 or 13 away from second place, Skeptical Fan right now. So let's hit up the chat as far as what the thoughts are on this CeeDee Lamb mixture in this McCarthy offense. Again, you guys know the new Venmo is up. Some people were asking about Venmo. There you go. And you see $, MyCowboysFamily for the Cash App, the PayPal, the message on screen like Super Chat, which hits that mark. 99 points on the Stream Boss. I just, a little commercial break there real quick, guys. With the YouTube stuff going down, this is the only way to support the channel currently. Appreciate everybody who has and it has been doing that through there. And, of course, joining the family, subscribing, hitting that like, subscribe, notification bell, and dropping the knowledge in the chat.
So, real quick, Ronald Camp said, people better start to learn who Malik Davis and Rico Dowdle are, because this year, one of the two is going to eat.
And one of them might be out of a job. And I agree with you on that. I think Dowdle...
That's how you said one of the two.
And I'm a big fan of Malik Davis. I was loving him when I saw him play last year in preseason. I was like, this guy is something. He's got to make this team somehow.
I think what we also saw throughout the regular season, obviously he didn't do that much. He still did what he had to do
when he was called upon.
He was out there.
When he was called upon, he did his job. And listen, Rico Dowdle has been...
No fuck-ups and, doing what you're supposed to do, that's still very, very good.
The key, though, is injuries. And that's where Rico Dowdle fell off. He's been missed the last 2 years off injuries. If he's not reliable another year, he might be the guy that's odd man out.
Not just that, but let's say he just hasn't progressed as far as Davis has because of the injuries. That still means that Davis has the upper hand, upper leg, I guess you could say.
And I do want to make sure we keep going in the chat. But since you brought up the running back, I don't think that Malik Davis or Rico Dowdle is. I mean, we also got Ronald Jones in there. Is really our number 2 right now.
It's kind of funny since we do have Ronald Camp, who was the one who brought that up. So,
about Ronald Jones. right? Or
yeah, he brought in Malik Davis,
right.
And
that's what I'm saying. Ronald Jones is in the mix as well. You never know. Zeke can be signed after the draft.
Yeah, again, Jerry and McCarthy both kind of just generally insinuated that depending on what happens once Zeke hits the free agent market, and depending on teams, once teams start making offers for him and things like that, the Cowboys aren't necessarily opposed to bringing him back for a cheap, reasonable.
That's the thing, though. Unfortunately for him, no one's ringing his doorbell. That's the thing for him. So right now, Zeke is saying that he wants to wait. Because, he's saying that. He's not waiting. He's got to wait. He has no choice. He would love to get signed right now. So that's the thing. Right now, he's just chilling because he has nothing. He knows no answers are coming, until after the draft for him. And then he might get a deal or two. We'll see. But I don't want to get lost in this Zeke thing because Zeke coming back is the least of my concerns right now. But the Cowboys drafting a running back is a possibility. So when you look at, again, a couple of guys, the Cowboys are actually interested. There's 3 good players in the Texas Longhorns the Cowboys might be looking at, especially at running back. There's 2, and it's not just Bijan Robinson. It is Bijan, and you guys made a mention of this guy here, Rashawn Johnson. He's the backup there in Texas with the Longhorns behind.
Yeah, shout out
Bijan.
to whoever it was that said that in our chat the other day.
He's a name that's really getting a lot of buzz from scouts and evaluators right now as a possible kind of sneaky pick because Bijan kind of took the spotlight. But people, again, Rashawn Johnson, a guy who's still very good, very viable running back starter. He caught the eyes of scouts, and I'm seeing here, guys, he carried the ball, again, only 93 times last year, averaged 6 yards per carry. Very well-rounded running back, by the way. Johnson is a natural tackle breaker, runs with power and vision. So, again, this is something that you can see like a Zeke kind of role, that power and vision.
This reminds me of Zeke and Rod Smith. Wasn't he his backup?
Yeah.
I'm just joking in the sense that, I'm just joking.
But again, the thing is that a lot of scouts keep bringing this running back up, the backup to Bijan Robinson with Texas Longhorns. And in a very deep running back class, he's a name to keep an eye on. Right now, what I'm seeing and what I'm seeing analysts talk about with draft analysts, I don't talk about, I'm not a draft analyst, but I hear draft analysts in general saying he will be a 3rd or 4th round running back pick in the draft. Cowboys are looking 3rd, 4th, 5th round for a running back. And again, I love, and again, I keep forgetting his damn name. And I get from Ole Miss. And again, what's his name? Now I'm dead. Evans. Evans. No, Evans. Who I think is going to be Zach Evans is going to be a kind of running back. The Cowboys could see a Zeke role. He can run, catch, and block. And he's a power runner. And I think that you can see Rashawn Johnson kind of falling in that same area, right? He's a guy that, and by the way, this is a fact. The Cowboys already have expressed interest in him. They like him. So keep an eye on him.
More fuel to that fire, I guess.
Yeah, Rashawn Johnson. I'm going to say Zach Evans from Ole Miss. These are 2 guys the Cowboys are meeting with, talking to, and are interested in. These are 3rd, 4th, 5th round running back. Mainly 4th round is where I would say running back will be picked by our Cowboys if, this is where they're looking with most of their guys. So keep that name in mind when it comes to draft talk. And I guess I'll continue here. I don't know if there's any other quick comments that you had in there.
Oh, real quick. Happy Easter to you as well, Indian Boogie.
Yes.
Cameron, much love to you in the chat here. Chris Plumage said, I imagine they had top 10 pass blocking stats back in those seasons. Talking about the receivers there for a second. Kura Mawani saying, can we draft a running back in the later rounds? Some other people saying, will the Cowboys even double dip at running back? No. Now that's no way in hell. Don't think will happen just because, remember, we already invested quite a bit of not chump change.
Guarantee that's not happening. And people start dreaming about Bijan Robinson and then Rashawn Johnson and the same. That shit ain't happening, guys. Wake up from a dream. That's not happening. That'd be stupid. Dumb for the Cowboys to do that. So just being real and stern about this. It's just let's not dream about things that are not realistic. Let's not be those kind of delusional fans, right? So the reality is double dipping every running back, no fucking way. In hell. We just got Pollard. 1 rookie is good. I mean, I'm down with that. 2, it's insane. So, and again, forget Bijan Robinson. He won't even get to the Cowboys, so forget about him. Thank goodness. I don't want to waste the 1st round pick on a running back. So I'm saying, I don't mind a 3rd, 4th, 5th round pick running back who is our number 2 guy to Tony Pollard, who is our number 1 guy. And a guy who has that future that could be the number 1, well, you get a Rashawn Johnson in that 3rd or 4th round. You get a Zach Evans in that 4th round. And that could be maybe the guy that could either stay as your number 2 power back guy or can maybe progress to being a starter, or we draft a guy next year. Who gives a damn? That you don't have to address that so crazily, especially when you're changing what we're doing on offense for the most part to 30 to 35% on offense and adding West Coast schematics when you have Tony Pollard who fits that schematic perfectly. So we have time to figure that out. But this year, I look for a power back. You'll need a guy like this for 4 years no matter what before you redraft him. So you might as well go 3rd, 4th, 5th round with a running back.
I agree. So now, Tammy Sotis, have a great night. Take it easy. So Beast Mode throwing out there, all the mocks have Bijan sitting there at 26. But hopefully somebody does trade up with us maybe to try and get him.
Now, again, I'm going to like we trade up or someone trades up together.
No, like someone trades up.
He won't get there though, guys. He ain't gonna get there. I'm just telling you, if he's there, I'll be disappointed if the Cowboys draft him. It'd be disappointing because we can get for what we need that running back spot for. We have a guy we can draft in the 3rd or 4th or 5th round, and we have next year's draft as well. Deep running back class. We have Pollard this year. I know we got to think about the future, but why waste a pick at running back in the 1st round?
Yeah.
When that's, to me, it's one of the least valuable positions right now because you can get a lot of guys to do what you need to do in a 2 or 3 running back set. Not in a 1 running back where you wear him down to the ground like you saw with Ezekiel Elliott, and the Joneses do that to him. So when it comes to that, there's no way we go. I'd rather not. I can see us going for Bijan Robinson, Jerry Jones making that pick, but I don't agree with that pick personally. That's just me. I don't know. So we do have another drop, by the way, baby.
Yes, I think I just saw Jason Renfro.
Jason Renfro, yes.
Yes, he mentioned something in the chat about ring the bell.
Boom.
Ding-a-ling.
He dropped that dollar holler once again, still climbing up
Jason.
slowly. He's by 11-12 back on 2nd place. So Jason Renfro, go Cowboys, and another dollar holler. Holler. Appreciate you, Jason.
Thank you.
So now, let me fix this. Here we go. Now, drafting wise, since we're kind of talking about drafting a running back, how about a kicker?
I'm on board. Let's go. Do it.
A lot of people are in the chats, and not just tonight. I'm talking about in the past, talking about let's get a kicker, let's get this kicker, let's get that kicker. So someone asked Brian Brodus, which again I know he's just a guy. He's in with some. He knows the scouts. He knows some of these people. So what did he say about this?
Former Cowboy scout,
right? But he also knows some of these current scouts. Any chance they draft a kicker? And Brian Brodus said, "quote Bones was telling folks he had a plan for how to handle the kicking position. Don't know what the plan is, but according to Brodus, he did not mention anything of using a draft pick. Now I'm going to say undrafted. Bet your ass on that. Bringing in some other journeymen along with Vizcaino, who's here now, probably. So you're gonna have probably an undrafted guy, probably a journeyman or 2 out there, and then you're gonna have Vizcaino, who's our journeyman right now, who's not gonna be, should not be our kicker. So that's something that we're not gonna resolve. It sounds like in a draft pick. It could be an undrafted rookie, but not in a draft. So don't expect us to draft any kickers in this draft. Bones did not mention anything about getting
I have a weird feeling this isn't going to be decided until like 3 days before our first game, but let me not put that negative energy into the universe either.
Feels like that's like last year. So one last draft kind of, I guess you could say a thought of Brian Brodus. Yeah, when it comes to the draft, the guy we talked about here, 2 guys, offensive linemen, guards in Steve Avila and Osiris Torrance. Both these guys are guards. Both these guys are around like mid-second round guys, like mid-second round picks. I don't know if they'll get to us at 58. One of them might. And so, would you want to overdraft and pick somebody at 26, one of these 2 guys? If I had to pick a guy, I like Steve Avila. But when it comes to Brian Brodus' thoughts, what did he think? And he said he has Osiris Torrance rated over Steve Avila.
Okay.
Now, I like Steve Avila's versatility at playing center. And we're going to talk about center in a minute because that's one of the comments in the one of the topics in this chat. And but center with Avila, he can play guard, he can play center, he can play tackle. He's played 4 out of the 5 spots at TCU. So, but overall, and Brian Brodus does know something about offensive linemen. So he said, Torrance, Cyrus Torrance to him is the better pure guard than Steve Avila. That's how he breaks that down. So
Avila is more of an overall guy.
On the offensive line, kind of versatile piece.
Yeah, but Torrance is more specifically a good guard, a better guard.
And I still love the Syracuse tackle/guard Bergeron, who to me, is good at. He's all right, showing promise at tackle, but at guard, he plays like a veteran. So to me, that I would look at him too as maybe a second rounder for I think his name is Terrence Bergeron. Either way, we got these offensive linemen here that can play guard, and Brodus says that he likes Torrance over Avila. But when you look at receiver, and you have Zay Flowers, who's a receiver the Cowboys have looked at, a lot of people saying he will be there at 26. The Cowboys may want to go grab someone like that. The Cowboys are bringing him in, as one of the visits. Brian Brodus has Steve Avila, higher than Zay Flowers on his draft board. So even though he's got Avila underneath Torrance, even under both these guys, he's got Flowers as the receiver there. Just letting you know, I trust him more on the offensive line kind of thought process than the receiver process. But that's the way Brian Brodus puts his, is doing his draft board. I just was curious to kind of poke into that draft situation, because when you look at center with Avila, and I say center with Steve Avila because he can play it. I'm not saying he should. I like him at guard, left guard, which is his natural position. But when you look at the offensive line, at center, we have a guy right now in his contract's year, in Tyler Biadasz. And I know he's a tough one for me because a lot of people out there love him, or not love him. A lot of people that just don't care about him because you don't hear much about him, which is good. And a lot of people just hate him. They don't like Biadasz. So when I looked into this guy, again, remember, he was a Pro Bowler this past season, Tyler Biadasz. Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
So you got to give him that.
Props, credit where credit's due.
This year, as a Pro Bowler, 2022, he had 1,066 snaps. That's a lot of snaps. Pretty much all the snaps there at center.
Did he even miss a game?
I don't know.
I don't think he did.
I think
at the end of the year. He missed like one game,
at the end of the year,
right?
didn't he miss a couple games? No, in that
something?
Tennessee game, he missed the 2 games at the end of the year and came back. I'm pretty sure it was him that came back.
What was it that he had again? Some kind of a
sprained ankle?
Foot?
Yeah, it was that sprain, a high ankle sprain.
There we go. That was it. I remember we were kind of worried there because we thought it wasn't going to be much more serious. And you're right, he did come back way sooner.
Connor McGovern started the next week against the Washington Commanders, and Ridgeway destroyed him.
It's all coming back to me now.
So Biadasz played very well at center, I would say, this past year in 2022. Obviously, not just me, but the NFL, because he made the Pro Bowl. So listen to this. He had 1,066 snaps. He had 576 pass blocking snaps, which was his weakness. Did much more upgraded there. He's been always very good at the run blocking. He played 490 run blocking snaps. He only had 5 penalties in total in 2022. Only 5 penalties.
That's great, especially considering he's a Cowboy.
He allowed 0 sacks. 0.0 sacks from Tyler Biadasz. And he only allowed 3 quarterback hits. No matter if it's Cooper Rush or Dak Prescott, he allowed 3 quarterback hits the entire season on over 1,000 snaps. And you talk about hits on almost 600 pass blocking snaps. Yeah. So he played fantastic. Total pressures all season. I've seen some guys allow 3 or 4 pressures in a game. He allowed 15 all season, Tyler Biadasz. So Tyler Biadasz, again, it's a little harder for him to mess up there when you have help on your left and right. But I'm going to say this, Tyler Biadasz, to me, he is worth keeping on this team. I know some people don't like that. I know my guy Marco Sepian's not a big fan of Tyler Biadasz, but I've been wanting to keep with him after this first season. I'm like, well, I'm not sure, but let's see what he can do. And I believe he did get better and better and has gotten better. So Biadasz, center, contract season for him. So that's going to is he going to be worth paying next year? We're not going to give him a deal this year to extend him. So center position, that's why Steve Avila kind of raises my eyebrow a little bit more, because he can play center. Not that he should, but he could. And he should play better than Connor McGovern did last year, for sure. So, look, Biadasz, I think he is a worthy center. Centers, like quarterbacks, don't grow on trees, and you just can't get the next guy and fill him in there. So, to me, like running back, you kind of get a running back that fits your scheme, and you can throw him in a 2 running back set. Mm-hmm. But a center, you need to have a center in there that knows and connects with the quarterback, and that's what Biadasz has done. And I gotta say, Biadasz has earned my trust to be our center.
I agree. Similar to how Terrence Steele earned, most of our trust as far as right tackle, even though I was like his biggest question mark / shit talker before the season started, because I said, I'm like, the little bit that he's shown so far, I don't necessarily trust what him and Philbin had, kind of cooking up at the time, but they proved me wrong, and happily so. So... let me see. Beast Mode saying I like Bergeron as well.
Bergeron is a guy. Bergeron from Syracuse. I like him a lot. He's kind of not been talked about. Second round, tackle / guard, but mainly can play solid left tackle, solid left guard. I like this guy as a kind of a under the radar kind of guy.
So, and thank you, Snug. He said, great stream, guys. You both are doing a great job. Great stuff.
Appreciate you guys. All those guys, by the way, I want to say, all you guys helping out, watching our playlist. We got a great playlist from the old school 2017 when we first started to this past season. So make sure you get in there and watch our videos. You know, watch them front to back, guys. It's great stuff. You can put them on double speed and just enjoy it. It's funny. You got our family here, the kids, and you can see them grow up. You can see my gray hairs coming out. The Cowboys killing me here. And we can age on screen for you guys like that. But either way, check out our old and new, our best of game day reactions play stream, which is really the basis of what we're going to bounce this channel off into the next rebranding, so to speak. You can see some things have changed already, the logo and this and that. So just roll with us, and I truly appreciate your guys' support with dropping the knowledge in the chat, dropping the love from above, and of course, you know, just watching our videos and doing a lot of good stuff, guys. You guys hitting the like, subscribing, notification bell, and all that good stuff. Humbled by the best fans of all YouTube as we try to continue to slug on here when it comes to the YouTube situation. Currently, as we go on live a little less often because there's a lot less news. So we're gonna make sure we make it when we go on live. We're gonna make it worth your while.
Yes. So, Mary Alvarez, yes, we are still gonna do game day reaction live streams.
Always.
You know, this upcoming season, just like we always do. So definitely looking forward to that.
I miss those emojis also. Again, memberships, emojis. You know, we have raffles going left. It's fun stuff. You know, all these fun things we had going on here. The
hopefully,
experience.
Right after the draft, we should be hopefully getting that squared away.
Let's just call it May, early May. We're hopefully back on track. If not, it's got to be early June. After that, it's. I don't know if we'll have a channel anymore at that point. I don't know. So we were trying to overcome this YouTube situation, but either way, we're gonna, we will, whether we're on a channel or not, we're always repping that star. It's in our household forever, but we will try to keep doing this thing on the regular, on and on and on for years beyond this. So we'll see what we're almost 6 years in, and we're hoping to do another 6. We'll see what happens. See if YouTube lets us or not.
So Gilbert Mejia saying, Osiris is lazy and does not attract that second level. Just watch the film. Don't trust old man Broadus.
And that's where I have my difference with Broadus on that one. I agree with you on 100%. I don't trust Osiris Torrance. Even as I only say second rounder. Like, I don't even know if
No, I think he meant blocking at the second level.
No, I know that. I know second level. He's not. I'm saying that to me, I like a Steve Avila better, not because of the versatility, because he's more a solid. He can play all these positions, but the guard is the left guard, specifically what he does naturally best. And, to me, it's not a contest. To me, it's Avila over Torrance, but I just want to give you guys another. I like to challenge my own thoughts, so I like to give other perspectives on there.
So, Meadowbird Cowboy fan, what's up, much love?
Hey, what's up, bro?
Let me see. Beast Mode throwing out there. If the Cowboys draft purely on need, they'll be reaching for players, and fans will be upset after the draft. This is where trusting in McClay comes into play. I know we got to trust in him, but it's also, what do the Cowboys want to do? Do they want to trade back? Do they want to trade down? That would be helpful, be smart. But the Cowboys don't seem to want to give away their 5th round option on that first round pick. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Our desire to trade down, whether it's there or not, completely depends on who the heck wants to trade up and what they're offering, right? Because let's say our choice is either between staying with Avila or someone trying to give us something that is maybe below market for even a late first round pick. Like, do we still do it even knowing we're maybe getting shafted a little bit? Because it's either reach on a player that we maybe aren't as excited about, or end up with subpar replacement picks for that player. I don't know. Well, I feel like at that point you are stuck between a rock and a hard place, and you're almost better off taking the chance on that possible reach. I know already what the Cowboys would do. They would take the reach because they rather have their pick, even if it's a reach for them. It's their guy. They scouted. They want it, and they might as well grab him. It kind of reminds me of Sam Williams last year in the second round. They did, but it makes sense though, because the Cowboys did put in the work for this kind of scenario, situation, or whatever the trade terms might be. Like, there's obviously some things that we can still make work, but maybe that changes our draft in a different way. The bigger thing is somebody. It's more important, is there a player there that is being in fear of being taken by the team or 2 behind us? If that's the case, we can make a deal. It'll be easy. But if there's not that, no one's gonna just trade a 2nd round pick to move up 4 spots unless there's a reason to do it. So last year is an example. Sam Williams. I talk about the edge rushers and all that stuff. I'll talk about Micah to finish up the stream. And we're almost done, guys. We're at the end of this thing. But edge rusher Sam Williams, we went and drafted him in the 2nd round last year. Dan Quinn loved him.
He worked him out there at Ole Miss. And again, he really wanted him. You can see that Quinn really, this was a Quinn pick.
Yeah.
And to most people, he was a reach of some sort. Maybe so, but I do want to stress that Sam Williams was the guy the Cowboys scouted, they liked, and they wanted. They want to wait to the third round and risk it. They'd rather reach in the second. But here's the key about this. Sam Williams, listen to this, baby. He played in 15 games last year. 27, only, and I stress only, he only played 27% of the snaps in this 22-23 NFL season, including playoffs. Only 27% of the snaps per total. He had 4 sacks in these 27% of the game time play. Not every play was a pass either. So he had 4 sacks, 22 quarterback pressures, 10 tackles for loss, 7 quarterback hits, 1 forced fumble, and 3 fumble recoveries. He's always around the ball. He's always making things happen. Unlimited play time. Under
so again,
a third
if that's
of the,
how
of the,
much
of play.
he's developed just in that amount of short play time and time here, what do you think he's going to accomplish with another year under Dan Quinn, a mostly stable defense as far as some of the returning cast members, right? And his role is obviously, at least we're predicting based on what we're seeing so far, we imagine that 27% might grow to closer, like, let's say 37 or 40. The way that we're imagining things are trending,
that,
right?
I hope.
So those numbers should look even better.
Definitely.
I can't wait to see it. And I think, again, last year's draft just knocked it out of the park as far as how many guys were able to contribute in a significant way. Sam Williams led that charge in a lot of ways.
And I mean, even when you look past that, thinking about where he was as a rookie last year, defensive rookie of the year, he finished tied for 5th in voting. That says a lot on a guy who wasn't even supposed to be in this group at all. So again,
remember how rough the season was when he first started with all the penalties and the kind of technical issues he had with his hand placement and stuff?
When you watch our draft stuff that we did, and we have the draft reaction stuff, so watch that. That's in our playlist. But when you watch that, I say this about Sam Williams, that he was going to be our most impactful defensive player. Really, I thought he'd be our most impactful player because he's in a situation where he can make plays, sacks, and do that specialty. And I say he's going to have limited snaps, but he'll do more with those limited. I said this in that draft show. Check it out, because that's what he did. He literally did that. He did high production, like a Randy Gregory when he came back from the weed suspension in the middle of the year, and they waited. Nolan Smith waited. What's the name? Not Nolan Smith. Mike Nolan waited an extra 2 weeks to put Randy Gregory in, and then played him like half the game every single time from there on out. But he still was making plays like 50% of the time of his snaps, minimal snaps. So again, the fact that Sam Williams finished in 5th defensive rookie of the year, and you got to look at this: every 3.5 pass rushing snaps, every time a team threw the ball, every 3.5 times, Sam Williams did one of these things for the Cowboy defense. Out of every 3.5 passing downs, he would give you at least a quarterback sack, quarterback hurries, a quarterback hit, or quarterback pressure. He would give you at least one of those every 3.5 pass rushing snaps. If a team threw 4 straight times, he's gonna get a sack, a hurry, a hit, or a pressure on the quarterback, at least off of last year's numbers. So that's, again, you could say it's a reach, but it fits the defense. It's a guy they scouted. They trust their scouts. They trust Will McClay, and the Joneses said, you know what, we're gonna get the guy we know, we scouted, we researched, and we want, rather than hope he comes later and go reach for another guy that we don't know if he's going to fit our stuff right now. Yeah, again,
very much fits into the trend of, the Cowboys tend to really like the guys they bring in for those 30 visits. We tend to draft a lot of those players in the end, more so than other teams, for the most part.
And we do. And the thing is that's funny because we didn't bring in Tyler Smith last year. We drafted him.
We did. That was actually one of the few
but we did bring in Sam Williams, though. So we did do that. But we drafted a lot of people at the tackle, a lot of people in the offensive line position last year. We brought in, 4 or 5 guys, I think it was, at the top 30 visit guys. Those top guys that come for the visits. We had a large amount of offensive linemen, a guard and tackle, that showed us we were looking at offensive line talent from the 1st and 2nd round, which is why we went at offensive line. The talent we were looking at, when it came to some of these other positions, were in later rounds and such. So again, Sam Williams, 2nd round, 3rd rounder last year, we grabbed them a little earlier in the 2nd, and I think he's on the right path. On the other side of that edge, when you see Sam, I think it's going to be the future. Sam Williams coming from one side and Micah Parsons on the other side. And he's another guy we didn't bring in. We drafted him in the 1st round, but we didn't bring him in as a top 30 visit. So I just want to say one thing about Micah, who, again, is, you saw the videos out there. He's working hard. just doing a lot of footwork stuff, almost looking like he's doing running back receiver drills. On top of that, he's doing some medicine ball push-off, explosive burst kind of acceleration kind of stuff that he's going to be using on defense. So I just want to say one thing as we end this stream tonight. Pass rusher Micah Parsons was hanging out with San Antonio Spurs head coach Greg Popovich. The reason I'm bringing this up is because it is the basketball playoffs, NBA playoffs kicking off here. And unfortunately, the Dallas Mavericks were eliminated from the playoffs. Everyone's talking about Luka might be,
moving on,
traded or moving on his way out. I mean, I don't know what's going on. I don't know about, I don't know about all that. It's
basically
crazy.
I think that if I'm not mistaken, I think I saw that Luka might ask to be traded after that season.
That's what people are saying.
Basically, if this upcoming season now doesn't go well or things don't go the way that he wants,
he can get his way out.
Tapping out. He's saying, thanks, Dallas, but maybe next time. So, obviously, we'll have to see how things end up playing out there. Yeah. But, yeah.
But look, the point is, NBA playoffs, again, go Bulls. Even though they're playing a play-in right now, it's going to be hard for them to get even in the real playoffs. So they're going to play in the play-in. I'll be watching that on Wednesday. So we're probably not having a stream Wednesday as we turn to the new week. But again, we'll see about the news tomorrow. If not, we'll roll the dice and go Tuesday. If there's not much stuff going on tomorrow. When it comes to the news, info updates here on MCF. And we'll kick off the week on Tuesday at the latest. Skipping Wednesday, and then, of course, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll be doing our normal thing here the rest of the week. So, again, guys, thank you for rolling with us here. I do want to hit the chat up before we get out of here. I also want to make sure I say much love to the sponsor of the month, who now, maybe starting tomorrow or Tuesday, when we go live next, Mark Hovsepian, 99 points on the Stream Boss, is first place on the overall board, which means he's going to be sponsor of the last 8 weeks, which is the last 2 months. Some records are building here. I mean, he's had the closest he came was 1 away from 4 months, this all-time streak. So he's more than halfway there officially now. Much love to the man, Mark Hovsepian. We bow down to your dominance here for 8 straight weeks there and 7 straight weeks up there on that Stream Boss, nonstop holding on to that thing. He ain't let that go past that red. It got red like 3 or 4 times in the last 6 weeks or 5 weeks, 7 weeks. Mark Hovsepian dominating all over the place here. And as I said earlier, guys, the man, Jason Renfro, baby, bow out for a second because, boom, Jason Renfro, the king of the Cash App, last week, captured it back-to-back. He's the king once again, dropped another dollar holler.
Thank you, Jason.
I'm pretty sure, another dollar holler from Jason Renfro to cement his crown here, his dominance, his reign.
His legacy.
His legacy here, going back-to-back, just like what? Yeah, these
90s
Dallas Cowboys. Yes, the 90s Cowboys. You know it, guys. So much love, Jason Renfro. Appreciate you. And, baby, thanks for jumping back in this thing.
I exist again.
There you are. And, again, and one last time for those that didn't know, again, YouTube issues going down here.
Before we do the shout-outs here, guys, yes, there's only a few ways right now to help support the channel.
A DAC number of ways.
And trust me, we miss the emojis and everything else.
Membership, emojis,
as
super chats, guys. Hopefully it's back.
Still very discombobulated and not being like what I consider our usual MCF routine. But like we were saying, guys, yes, the only ways to support the channel right now, do the Cash App, Money Sound MyCowboysFamily. We have a brand new Venmo at my-Cowboys-Family. The regular PayPal link. But of course, if you want your comments to show up here on screen, just like a super chat would, that Streamlabs link is the way to do it.
You know it.
And thank you very much to everybody who's shown the love and support, throughout the last few weeks and stuff like that. But most specifically this week, because yes, baby, as you said, we are crowning some new and familiar champions here.
Because
not very new, right? Thank you, Jason Renfro.
Back-to-back king right there. And we got a lot of familiar faces rolling in here. Even before that, we had Snug X as the king and many others here. Passing that crown around, but Jason Renfro always comes back around to it. He's back-to-back in it like a 90s Cowboys. And, yeah, we got 8 in a row. Aikman 8 right now for Mark Hovsepian. Much love to him as he opens up next week as the sponsor of the last 2 months. Domination. And no one's ever got there. The last guy got there, I think, was Siri Cupid at 7. That was the last record. Mark Hovsepian at 8 had broken that record. He went away to 15. We'll see if he breaks it again. But he's sitting in the driver's seat for 8 straight weeks. Much love to him and everybody else out there. So hit up the chat, the last comments and thoughts as you do the shout-outs combo. The combo of shout-outs and comments, I guess. Comments.
So Metalbird Cowboys fan said, Chiefs are about to screw themselves bad paying Mahomes too much. Well,
they spray out
it's hard to deny that he isn't worth it. So it's
I would have taken a Super Bowl.
Kind of between a rock and a hard place, right? So
I would have taken a Super Bowl over paying for anyone.
I think most people would. Yeah. So, least side, Harold, nice try. Brandon James Shea, much love, saying, are the Chiefs going to give Patrick Mahomes a contract extension? So,
no.
Honestly, they'd be better off trying to rework his deal to massage the numbers a bit. But like we said, there's only so much you can do. Well, the way they structured his contract.
You add voidable years to the end of that contract. You add a couple of voidable years. You can throw in, you can split the leftover, probably $60 million or $80 million. So you take a $40 million hit one year, a $40 million hit another year. And you got to take that huge hit 2 dead years in a row, maybe be 30 or 20 million. We're doing that too with Dak. We're taking $30 million hits right now, dead hits, if we don't give him an extension.
Yeah.
In 2025 and 2026. So, yeah.
So, let me see. Gilbert Mejia, much love, saying, let's trade Armstrong to the Texans for a first rounder for Leaside Harold.
Yeah, I mean, Leaside would love that, right? Yeah,
he loves all our Dallas leftovers.
Unfortunately, as we know, that's the joke. The Houston Texans ain't that dumb. They're dumb, but ain't that dumb. They're not going to do that.
Mary Alvarez, you have a great night. Beast Mode, just talking a little basketball here, saying, I've been calling to trade Luka for a few years while he has value. He's a new age car with high mileage. And the reason I wanted to point that comment out again, that's a very common refrain we've heard, at least from or about our Dallas Cowboys, right? We tend to be like turtles when it comes to making moves, either waiting too long to make deals on players or waiting too long to maybe move on from players. We just tend to linger.
Tyron Smith could be an example of that, right?
Michael Hooper, much love. What's up with you?
Michael.
Let me see. We have
Mr. Hooper in the house.
Jason Renfro, of course. Ashley Simmons, have a great night. Daniel Berry Sports saying, what's your thoughts on Odell and the Ravens? We touched on it in the beginning, but long story short, very glad that it wasn't our Cowboys who paid that much money. And Cook seems like the better deal on a lot of fronts. Go back to being a stream.
And just to kind of make it the other side of things here a little clearer. Odell getting $15 million for 1 year, and then up to $18 million, up to $3 more million on top of that incentives for 1 year. Brandon Cooks is hitting us for $6 million this year and $10 million next year. 2 years and 16, or 1 year for 15 to 18. I'm taking Brandon Cooks as a steal compared to Odell Beckham.
Easily.
And Odell's banged up. We don't know, a year and a half. Brandon Cooks has been playing, no matter who the quarterback is, he's productive, and he has 4 1,000-yard seasons with 4 different teams. Let's make it 5. Let's get that 5 on it.
Snug X, much love. Appreciate that. Of course, Mary Alvarez. We have Tammy Soltis. Have a great night. Cameron. Eric Wallace.
Lisa's saying Cooks is washed up, but come on.
Oh, nice try. Karam Mawani. Hello and hi. Hey. Andy and Boogie, have a great night as well. Ronald Camp, thank you for subbing it up, by
welcome
the way.
To the family, the newest member here.
Drums and Cowboys, much love, saying, by the way, he said earlier, I think Gallup will have a resurgence. He's truly a number 3. That's why he disappeared against tougher coverage last year.
And that's why Brandon Cooks in the mix is going to help everybody around him. Is going to help Ceedee. It's going to help, Gallup is going to help Ferguson. It's going to help Pollard out the backfield. Everyone gets help. Dak and the McCarthy scheme of West Coast styled offense. All this gets help because of Brandon Cooks is, I think, the better fit than Odell. Can play inside and outside. Odell cannot. And on top of that, again, wear and tear, availability versus ability. I think we got the better deal in Cooks. 2 years, much cheaper. Much better fit for this Cowboy offense than Odell Beckham. And I think I've been saying that since we've been talking about Odell in the end of 2022. I've been saying that let's not go after. I didn't like Cooks, not for $18 million, but for 6 and then 10, I'll take it.
Yeah. Cactus G, have a great night. Harold Jones, much love. Mike Aldana. Yeah, we definitely spend way too much time kissing Odell's ass. I agree.
I mean, and we don't. We just bring up the news, right? But a lot of people out there like kissed up, and our own players, Micah and Trayvon Diggs and Dak Prescott, had to talk about, oh yeah, we love Odell, we want him in here, and Jerry Jones just like
I know
he was playing the game. With Odell and Jerry were the same. They're the same. They play the game.
So let me see. Yeah, Texans do have Noah Brown. Everybody's
enjoy Noah
favorite
Brown,
receiver, right?
Enjoy Dalton Schultz. Enjoy him. We'll take that trade. So much better than Cooks. We'll trade both those 2 guys. You're paying more for those 2 guys, and we're paying for Cooks. We'll take that. That's fine.
So, yeah, that was pretty much everybody here. So, guys, again, huge shout-out to everybody here hanging with us. Thank you. Right?
Maybe, and you know what? We do this on a nightly here.
Am I missing anything there?
We try to do this on a nightly. Right now, we're definitely doing it a couple times on the weekly, and we'll be back hopefully in full effect by May. But guys,
this is your regular MCF live streams.
Yeah, you're
consistency.
Consistent. That's what it's about. Quality, not quantity. We do both. Guys, thank you for rocking with us here on another week, another one tonight. We'll be back either tomorrow or Tuesday, kicking off a new week with Mark Hovsepian. 8 weeks in a row. Jason Renfro, King, 2 weeks in a row. And it all continues. We talk about this star over everything, baby. Why do we do this here on the regular on My Cowboys Family here on YouTube?
It's that navy blue, that silver too, and that star over everything.
Boom. You know it, guys. Good, bad, or ugly, win, lose, or draw. Good, bad, or... No matter what. We're repping that star over everything here in MCF. And here on this channel, almost. Can we get to 6 and beyond? We're almost at 6 and beyond right now. 6 years, almost 5.5, over 5.5 years, and beyond here on YouTube, here on My Cowboys Family. Never forget the number one thing here, now and forever, as always. Go Cowboys! Let's get that 6 and beyond. Remember, Eagles, 5 is always greater than 1. That's just facts. Just saying. Thank you all for dropping your knowledge in the chat. Thank you all for dropping the love from above tonight, this week, and beyond. Guys, can't do it without you all. So we're rocking back here tomorrow, the next week, kicking off a new week. But before we can relock and reload, thank you guys for your drops of knowledge in the chat, drops of love from above. But it is time to drop out of here and clock out of here for the night, the week, and relock, reload tomorrow for another one. Before we can do that, baby, what do we got to do before we drop out for the night?
We got to drop the beat.
Guys, thank you for rocking with us here for another one, April 9th, 2023, the weekly finale here, Sunday finale. Thank you all. Appreciate you all, as always. And we'll see you guys for a new one tomorrow or Tuesday here on MCF. Much love. And as always, never ever forget, Go Cowboys!